In life, you don't get what's fair, but what you negotiate. Effective negotiation is like a magic trick, seeming obvious only when you know how it's done. In this video, we'll learn the backhands of negotiation, teaching you how to effectively negotiate and get what you want. We'll start by fundamentals and then move on to practical strategies that will empower you in various negotiation scenes. All individuals, regardless of their background, share a common limbic system and amygdala. Doesn't matter what ethnicity or religion someone is, their brain is wired in the same way, and so are their emotional responses, unless if they're paranoid schizophrenic. Our objective is to tap into those emotions and know where they come from, understanding what truly matters to each person. Communication is at the heart of negotiation. Words and pronouns hold an immense power. Therefore, strategic language is vital. We should learn and practice tactical empathy, making people feel heard, allowing them to maintain their power and give them a sense of autonomy. The ability to recognize emotions and identify nonverbal cues is what will push us forward. Every single word carries a substantial emotional impact. The limbic system is much like the respiratory system. How much control do you have over your breathing? Hold your breath. Let's see how long you can keep that. Exactly. Emotions work the same way. Some words make us defensive. Some grab our attention. For example, when you say you, it grabs the attention of the listener. Whereas when you say I, it creates a bridge of emotional connection. Hidden beneath each word, pronoun, and sentence lie a world of emotions and impulses. It's this profound understanding that lays the foundation of tactical empathy. Beyond anything else, people crave to be heard. But listening to them is not enough. To truly connect to someone, we should find out their cares and concerns, and then give them a summarized statement, initiating with phrases like, it sounds like, seems like, looks like, demonstrating that you perceive their emotions. It seems like you're going through a lot right now. It's empathy, not sympathy. That will be like, I feel bad for you. You make your point only after you convey them their perspective. When you do this, people will emphasize and actively listen to you. You see, we love correcting people. You should be doing this. The word should is restrictive. Instead, try something like, here is how you're approaching this, and this is what I'm thinking. Information gathering and report building instead of separately commenting. Tactical empathy. How does it work and how can we utilize it? According to neuroscience, the brain is 75% negative. The default mode of all living, that includes humans, is survival. The caveman survived by being a pessimist. If my buddy gets eaten by a bear, I'm staying away from any bear that I see. So the survival brain is not geared towards success. Why in the world would I pitch the positive? The fastest and the most effective approach is to deactivate the negative. This is done by calling it out, labeling it. Most people ignore the elephant in the room. We've gotta get over that and start pointing them out. You can start by something like, this is gonna sound disrespectful, but blah blah blah. You can also force the empathy. If someone demands something from you and you say, how am I supposed to do that? You're implying that what was asked from you is difficult or impossible. This works perfectly to change the situation. But if the counterpart replies with something like, that's your problem, you know for a fact the counterpart doesn't care about you at all. Now that is great information gathering. All these might seem useless, but as you begin negotiating in this manner, you'll be astonished at how conversations flow with remarkable swiftness. And just so you believe this solidly, neuroscientific research corroborates the effectiveness of these strategies. fMRIs provide tangible evidence on labeling. When done correctly, it diffuses the negative thoughts, shifting the counterpart from emotional to rationality. You have an addiction. We all have it. We want to hear these 3 letters. Yes. The yes momentum has contributed a lot to this. Get him to say yes to the little things, tie him down, can't get away from the big deal. Leading the counterpart down a path. This is done by asking yes-oriented questions. Alright, I'm gonna put this right out. This is total BS. It does so much damage to the convo. You're essentially taking away their autonomy. The phone rings, you pick up, the voice on the other hand says, have you got 2 minutes to talk? You don't know what you're saying yes to. Yes, I got 2 minutes to talk, but do I want to talk to you? Do I want to talk about what you want to talk about? This is also code for I'm going to talk and you're going to listen. Every time you get people to say yes, it makes them concerned and defensive. Everyone knows that yes is a trap, a hook. Do not treat people like fish. People ain't stupid. They know exactly what you're trying to do. Even if they were fish, a yes is nothing without the how. There are 3 types of yeses: commitment, confirmation, and counterfeit. Due to the yes momentum, people very easily give counterfeit yeses. And also, yes is a commitment. Commitments create anxiety. Anytime people say yes, they're thinking, what's the catch? What have I got myself into? No, it's protection. It serves as a shield, providing security, and this enables thoughtful consideration. Therefore, the strategy is to aim for calibrated no's. Get them to say no to one aspect, but yes to your overall proposal. Being able to say no maintains their power, as if their cards remain hidden. Instead of, is now a good time to talk, say, is now a bad time to talk. Frame your questions in a way that respects their autonomy and decision making. Other examples would be, have you given up on X? Do you disagree or are you against X? And a perfect one would be, is it a ridiculous idea? You're in control, but you make the other side feel like they are in control. They are deciding. This not only ensures that you're taken seriously, but also increases the likelihood of getting what you want. Cristopher Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator, says that 1 no is equivalent to 5 yeses. Highly recommend you check in his stuff. This video wouldn't be possible without him. Out of all the stuff I've learned from this book, my favorite one is a technique called Accusation Audit. Total game changer. It's when you address the worst accusation your counterpart could make against you. For instance, in a call with customer support, you can go like, you're gonna think that I'm some cheap, irate customer that called you to get some aggression out. This technique disarms defensiveness and sets the stage for a smooth and productive chat. Another thing, when making requests, proportionality is key. I know you're busy, but would it be possible to postpone the meeting to 3 o'clock? Demonstrating thoughtfulness and consideration. This makes you look gracious and not like a demanding mom. Did you make your bed? Did you do your homework? No one likes that. We've got lots of communication tools at our disposal, but I want to switch gears. How can we manage and collaborate in confrontational or aggressive convos? First and foremost, we gotta step back and ensure that we're not participating in the drama triangle. The drama triangle is pretty much everywhere, especially in heated combos. It's the playground where people play characters to gain power. It includes victim, rescuer, and prosecutor. The victim gets attention by portraying themselves as helpless and hopeless. The rescuer provides the victim with attention and thus satisfying the ego of helper. Prosecutor is oppressive, blaming, and feels superior. All of them are acting upon their selfish needs. Participants have their psychological needs met without acknowledging the real issue. Furthermore, they can switch roles at any given moment. If a prosecutor faces blame, they can transition into a victim. The victim can get angry to the rescuer and turn into a prosecutor. Manipulators exploit these role switches, oscillating between prosecutor and victim. Although rescuers seem like they want to resolve the problem, they have hidden motives to not succeed or succeed in a way which they benefit. If you find yourself entangled in a drama triangle, stop participating and move to the center. It's a combination of sensitivity, compassion, and responsibility. In this space, you can aim to transform the triangle into a winner's triangle, where everyone is equal. No one is right or wrong. Now the focus can shift to examine the situation rationally and take action. When the stakes are high and you find yourself needing to engage in a critical conversation, certain strategies become even more essential. Here's how to navigate them effectively. First of all, it's crucial to assess the seriousness of the person. Seriousness is always in the details. When, where, how, with what, with whom. If someone is genuinely serious, they will provide precise and accurate details. This process of understanding the situation is akin to diagnosis and probing. Asking detailed questions encourages slow and thoughtful responses. Most importantly, it allows you to gauge their reaction. Do they take time to consider their answers? Or do they immediately fire back? Do they cut the eye contact or start scratching themselves? Does their voice or tone change? In such situations, it's worth noting that deepening our voice is beneficial. Auditory systems act like emotional pianos in our brains. which explains our love for music, as each frequency brings out a unique emotion. Low frequencies have a calming effect. High frequencies can induce anxiety. Professional liars master body language and facial expressions, but changes in their voice tone can reveal us the truth. Listening to the tone is a powerful method that we should all add to our arsenal when gathering information, especially changes in tone. Detecting lies is often a gut feeling, and our instincts are quite accurate. Behavior clues alone are context dependent. A raised eyebrow or a glance to the left can mean different things in various situations. To contextualize, you need a reference point. Observe how someone behaves when they're telling the truth. From there, you can establish a common pattern. If they deviate from this pattern, it's a signal they might be lying. There's only one way to tell the truth, but a million ways to hide it. Communication is 7% words, 38% delivery, 55% body language. To detect deception, we should examine whether these three elements align. When someone is concealing something, they don't synchronize. Mastering the skill takes time and experience. But once you recognize the differences, it becomes incredibly valuable. When people lie, they tend to use more words and effort, and their voice of tone changes. Being an effective negotiator means treating your counterpart how they wish to be treated. Vocal tones, word preferences, sentence structures can show you a lot about an individual's character and mindset. There are many different types of people in this world, but only 3 types of negotiators. And those are analyst, accommodator, and assertive. Assertive sees themselves as logical, honest, and direct. They're seen as emotional, harsh, and aggressive. All they need is mutual respect. They want to be heard and see negotiation as an intellectual war. They love winning above everything else. To get them to listen, you gotta convince them that you have understood them and where they're coming from. Accommodators are focused on building relationships. They're seen as friendly and sometimes too talkative. Silence upsets them, and most of them are distracted easily and are poor time managers. They may overpromise, agree to give you something they can't actually deliver. The analyst is prepared and data-driven. They may be seen as cold and standoffish. They prioritize acquiring facts and info. Silence gives them the time to think. They prefer working independently and are not at all influenced by apologies. Reciprocity, the core of give and take. If you ask, you owe. For the assertive, giving comes with the expectation of equal or greater returns. They will always try to take as much as they can. Accommodators are more likely to give first and are not motivated by receiving. If they receive first, they see it as a confirmation for their positive relationship. Analyst gives only after careful consideration. If received first, they may see it as a trap. Before we head into the strategies, I want to point out that there are much more characteristics for each type. The Black Swan group has done a lot of work on this. Highly recommend you to check it out. For each type, we should employ different strategies. Remember, we're here to get what we want. We should adjust to the counterpart. With analysts, use labels and comparisons. Use data to support your arguments. Never approach them assertively. Show your readiness to achieve mutually beneficial outcomes. When dealing with accommodators, use calibrated questions initiating with what and how. If you fall out of line with these fellas, an apology is mandatory. Lastly, the most challenging one, the assertive. Use techniques like mirroring, labeling, and summarizing. Avoid being overly analytic. Get them to say, that's right. The aim is to facilitate a mutual understanding. Not you're right, but that's right. What's this? Mirroring is known to copy the counterpart's body language, such as leaning to the same direction or mimicking gestures. But this is really not necessary. Just repeat the last 1 to 3 words of what the other person said. It's simple yet incredibly effective, especially when you're caught off guard. It gives you the time to think and get back on your feet. Typically, when we don't understand the other side, we tend to respond with something like, what do you mean by that? Not so bad. It's a what question and allows you to gather info. But what we want them to do is repeat what they've just said using different words. What happens? People repeat the same words, just louder. Whereas mirroring gets people to paraphrase and calms them down. Mastering this technique can allow you to place mirrors as a guiding tool and can drastically improve your navigation and convos. Oh boy, this video is getting spicy. Let's dive into specifics like biz deals, bad news, baits, and threats. The golden rule in business deals is to make the other party feel like they have earned their success. Let's say you're selling a car. Someone comes and buys it with no bargain. Now you're thinking, why haven't I asked for more? Whether you're a buyer or a seller, creating a challenge or adding complexity to the process makes the other side more likely to agree. People want to feel like they have earned what they have got. In most biz deals, both the clients and the providers hide information. For this, we have a poison that's not under people's radar. Get them to correct you. For instance, make a guess. I bet your current provider is charging you double my offer. And boom, you got it. Watch them jump into correcting you. People love to correct others. Most likely, they won't be able to hold themselves back. In business, 80% of the providers are used to gather info. The fools in the game. This might be harsh, but if your sales are low, you're probably one of them. You're simply a free consultant. We should be able to detect when this is happening. Ask the potential client a question like, from a scale of 1 to 10, what's the likelihood of this deal happening? If they hesitate or take a moment to respond, it's a sign they're not committed. Genuine responses come instantly. Additionally, observe the changes in their voice tone as subtle cues like people constriction or a scratch to the head. Start with diagnosis. Figure out why do they want the deal. If you directly ask, why do you want to work with us? If they haven't made up their mind yet, they will get defensive. Instead, you can use what cows, what brings. Humans don't like to hear those 3 letters. And why makes us feel like we're being interrogated. Folks usually have 10 or 20 reasons why they want to do biz with you. Diagnose them and frame your value of proposition to match those reasons. It's the client's needs that count, not what you assume should be. If you kick off with the stuff that ain't on the client's radar, in roughly 3 to 10 seconds, you're gonna lose them. So, diagnosing their needs should lead the way, and the whole deal should be built around them. Spotting baits start with recognizing the manipulative tactics being played. It starts with the thoughts of, that's odd. Doesn't really make sense. Many baits play on fear of missing out. If the deal sounds too good to be true or heavily emphasizes on what you might miss, that's a classic red flag. Act within 24 hours. This is sus. It can't be true. They claim to have exclusive insider knowledge and are willing to share it to you if you do something. Legitimate opportunities are always transparent. The narrative keeps changing and lacks concrete details. It's time to raise your guards. When posed with threats, we gotta figure out how serious the situation is. Again, we're searching for details. We want to go hardly on what, how, when, where questions. These questions will conserve our energy but exhaust the other person, speaking slowly and giving them the passive-aggressive behavior, which tends to slow down the convo. By maintaining a slow, measured pace, you can gradually exhaust the other person. Eventually, they will reveal the loopholes. What's happening is ego depletion. Defending the ego consumes tons of dopamine. The questions you pose should be designed to indirectly challenge their plans, probing for any inconsistencies or hidden motives. This approach allows you to navigate high-stake conversations with a focus on revealing the truth and ensuring that everyone's objectives are aligned. Bad news? There is no morality when chopping the chicken's head. You gotta make it quick. And avoid using the sandwich method. Starting and finishing with the good, slipping the bad in the middle. This shocks people. Again, you're treating people like fish. Instead, get them prepared in advance. Man, I got bad news. Call me when you're available. People take stuff much more easily when prepared. Even in simple benevolent combos. This is gonna piss you off, but I forgot to print the files. In negative combos, the best thing to do is removing the element of surprise. What bothers us is what we don't expect. And that's all I got. To sum it up real quick, in order to negotiate effectively, we must adapt to the needs of the other party, understanding their desires and adjusting our approach accordingly. When employing strategies, we must consider the type of negotiator we're dealing with. If we're caught in a drama triangle, we should move to the middle and transition into a problem-solving approach. Always keeping in mind that only 7% of negotiation is conveyed through words. So be attentive to vocal tones and body language of yours and the other. Utilize techniques such as labeling, mirroring, summarizing. Avoid yes-oriented questions and aim for calibrated no's. When making demands, be or act like you're concerned for them. If deception is suspected, we need a reference point from the truthful statements and recognize deviations from it. To slow down convos and encourage critical thinking, we can use calibrated questions that start with what and how. That's enough. If you forgot them, just rewatch the video and take notes. Bye.